Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are building a practical, powerful toolkit for your brain. We're going to explore how you can stop being frustrated with learning and actually turn it into a skill you can master to make information stick, not just for a test, but for good. So, does this sound familiar? You spend hours, maybe even a whole day, trying to wrap your head around a new idea, and you think you've got it, only for it to completely vanish by the next morning. It feels like all that info is just slipping through your fingers. It's super common, but listen, it's not something you just have to live with. Well, here's the good news. Memory isn't just some fixed trait you either have or you don't. It's something you can actively build. And it all boils down to a really simple three-phase process. Fueling your brain, framing the new information so it actually makes sense, and then fusing it into your long-term memory. Let's start right at the foundation. Okay, before we get into any of the cool memory techniques, we have to cover the absolute basics. You've got to give your brain the right raw materials to work with. Think about it like a high-performance car. You wouldn't put cheap gas in a Ferrari, right? Your brain's the same. It needs high-quality fuel to run at its peak. And honestly, it's way simpler than you'd think. Just adding foods like these into your diet is the essential first step. You know, the omega-3s you get in salmon, all the antioxidants in blueberries, the healthy fats in avocado. They all work together to create a well-fed brain, and that's a brain that's actually ready to learn, to focus, and to remember. All right, so with our brains properly fueled up, it is time for the active part of learning. This is where we get strategic. We're going to unpack two really powerful techniques. One is for building a deep, genuine understanding of something, and the other is for making sure you can recall that knowledge in an instant. And that brings us to a total legend, Richard Feynman. He wasn't just a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. They called him the Great Explainer. And his whole philosophy was incredibly simple. If you can't explain a concept in simple terms, you don't really get it yourself. All that complexity, all that jargon, a lot of times it's just a smokescreen for a fuzzy understanding. This four-step process it's genius because it forces you to face the parts of your knowledge that are still shaky. The moment you try to explain something to a kid, any holes in your logic become painfully obvious. And that's your signal. That's when you know you need to go back, hit the books again, and fill in those gaps until your explanation is airtight and crystal clear. This quote right here just nails the entire idea. True mastery isn't about throwing around big, impressive words. It's about getting to an understanding that's so deep, so profound, that you can make the complex feel intuitive. Your goal should always, always be simplicity. So, once you've really, truly understood something, how do you lock it away for easy access later? For that, we're going to turn to a seriously ancient technique. I'm talking Greek and Roman orators, and it's still used by memory champions today. It's called the method of loci, or, my favorite, the memory palace. Now, it sounds kind of fancy, right? But the idea is incredibly simple. It works by piggybacking on something our brains are already amazing at, spatial memory. We are naturally great at remembering places and layouts. This method just cleverly hijacks that built-in skill to store and retrieve all kinds of other information. And you can start doing this right now. It's that easy. Just picture a place you know like the back of your hand, your house, for example. To remember a grocery list, you could mentally place the milk by your front door, then imagine a giant loaf of bread sitting on your living room couch, and then put a carton of eggs on the kitchen table. To remember the list, you just take a mental stroll through your house and see the items. And a little pro tip, the weirder and more vivid the image, the better it sticks. And now for the final and most critical phase. You've fueled your brain, you've framed the knowledge, but how do you actually fuse it into your permanent long-term memory? The answer might actually surprise you. You do it in your sleep. For the longest time, scientists thought sleep just kind of protected our memories, shielding them from all the new stuff that bombards us when we're awake. But we now know that's not even half the story. Your brain isn't just offline when you're asleep, it is actively working, running a highly sophisticated program to lock in everything you learned that day. So take a look at this. This is a map of a typical night's sleep. You can see how we cycle through these different stages all night long. But the one we really care about for learning is right there, labeled N3. That's slow wave sleep. And notice where it's concentrated, right in the first half of the night. That deep sleep is the absolute key window for making memories stick. So what this means is that slow-wave sleep isn't just about deep rest. It is prime time for your brain to get to work, filing away the day's experiences and strengthening all the neural connections that actually become our long-term memories. and the data on this is just crystal clear. Look at this study, for example. It shows a direct, positive line. The more time people spent in that deep, slow-wave sleep, the better they were at remembering new information the next day. This isn't just a cool theory, it's a measurable, powerful effect. So what's actually happening up there? Well, during this incredibly deep sleep, your hippocampus, which is like the brain's inbox for new memories, is busy replaying what you learned. This process shifts those memories over to the neocortex, which is like the brain's long-term hard drive. It's literally like moving files from a temporary USB stick to a secure, permanent folder. And this transfer isn't random. It's like a highly coordinated symphony between different brainwaves. You've got these big, slow waves that set the main rhythm. And then, nestled perfectly inside those waves, are these faster bursts of activity that are timed precisely with signals coming from the hippocampus. It's this beautiful synchronization that allows your memories to be transferred and strengthened so efficiently. So let's put this all together. We've covered a lot of ground here, from diet to ancient Roman tricks, all the way to cutting-edge neuroscience. Let's wrap it all up into a simple, powerful toolkit you can start using tonight. Here it is, the whole game plan in a nutshell. Your 3-step plan for learning anything. First, you fuel your brain with the right nutrients. Second, you frame new information using powerful tools like the Feynman technique for deep understanding and the memory palace for easy recall. And third, you fuse those memories into your brain by prioritizing that deep, slow wave sleep. Fuel, frame, fuse. And that leaves us with one final, really powerful question. We tend to think of sleep as lost time, right? A passive state where we're just switched off. But what if we started to see it as one of the most powerful learning tools we have? What could you achieve, what could you master if you actually started harnessing those hours every single night to actively build a better mind?